Figure it out.
Everybody, welcome back. Scorpio Caesar here, and in today's video, I finally went to a video game convention. That's right, the con life is nothing new to me. I've been to anime conventions through the years. However, this was my very first video game convention, and it was glorious. Went to the Long Island Retro Game Expo at the Cradle of Aviation back in Long Island, and I went with my buddy Surgeman X. We hit up Friday and we checked out the vendors, and we're gonna go through all that in today's video. I'm gonna have a little commentary as well over the video that I shot, and we're gonna talk about the pickups that I did at the very end. So with that out of the way, welcome to the CesArcade.
Get ready.
So after having driven to New York City, I went to the LIRR in order to take the train to meet Surgeman X, and so we went from there, from Valley Stream, got the Friday pass, and we were in the door. Before we do it, we were hit with some beautiful framed artwork from Retro Fools. Shout out to Blake from The Monster for showing me the name of that vendor, because I completely missed it originally. But I was taking a look at some of the beautiful artwork on display here. This vendor in particular, had some really nice canvases of box arts and video game artwork that I knew I was going to come back to later on in the day. But at first, I didn't want to carry anything big. I just wanted to start off small, see all the vendors, and basically check out what they had and how their pricing was. Over here, this vendor had some pretty good stuff. A lot of like modern mixed in with the retro stuff. Like here we had the Raito remaster. I think that's how you say it, right? But the rest of the games they had a lot of Vita games, some 3DS games. I saw Night Rain. Here's one that I still want to pick up. Mark Echo's Getting Up for that holographic cover art. But I wasn't going to pay $30 for it. No, sir, I don't think so. MDK was one that I almost walked out of. But I completely forgot that I picked it up and put it right back. Like I said, this was the first vendor, so I didn't want to overdo it on my first, rendezvous with some of these vendors. I want to check out everything that the con has to offer, because that's how you always get the best prices. So these guys were Forgotten Freshness over here. They had a lot of good stuff as well. A lot of Sega CD games, like more so than I ever thought I would ever see in person. Then we had the Shadow Box guys. Oh man, the Shadow Boxes that this dude was selling, absolutely beautiful. They were like $75, $65 each, and oh, it was so tempting to not walk out of there with some of those. But man, I didn't want to blow my entire budget on Shadow Boxes. Some of the Shadow Boxes on display here were so beautiful. I mean, you had Turtles in Time, Stardew Valley, Street Fighter, Super Mario World, Super Mario Brothers. Oh man, it was tough. This, I came in with a game plan. There was a wish list of games I had on Price Charting's app that I went in looking for a lot of PlayStation 1 games in particular. I was looking mainly for JRPGs, believe it or not. But there were some PS1 titles that I was really hoping to walk out of with. Resident Evil 2 is one that I still want to get on the original PlayStation, but I do want to get the DualShock edition. This was not it. I saw another game here that I was really looking for, and it was Wild Arms. However, I didn't bite the bullet on this one because it had a really wavy cover artwork, and I don't know about wavy artwork. I don't know. For $60, I had to put it back. I figured somebody else would be selling it later down the line. So there's a baseball game that I grew up with playing on the PlayStation 1. This vendor was pretty cool. However, a lot of their stuff, the prices were insane. I mean, you could see in some of the videos here, like Breath of Fire 3, $110, Parasite Eve, Legend of Legaia, Fear Effect for $95, Xenogears $200. Man, these guys were hopeful. No disrespect to them. They come in here, they got to make a profit, they got to make money. So, man, but those prices were insane. We met up with Chris, who's Surgeman X's good buddy, and he had a little small booth, but with some heavy hitters. And we'll come back to him later. The game! Fans of the original channel will know where that's from. But yeah, this other location here, towards the food court, we were making our way around. Has some Wii titles, some Wii U games, 3DS games. Most of it was filler, honestly. Nothing I was really looking for. And they didn't have Dragon Quest swords. So that was unfortunate. That was definitely one I wanted to pick up on the Wii. But lo and behold, I couldn't find it. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it was in some other area. It doesn't matter. Some Super Nintendo games here. Mostly stuff that I already had or wasn't really interested in. So I didn't buy anything from this booth. Although I was looking hard for some Breath of Fire action. Couldn't find it. Here's another booth here. We got some nice PlayStation 1 games. Looking mighty mint. Some PS2 titles. Oh, is that Gex on the PlayStation 1? Man, who'd be crazy enough to ask for Gex? They had these little units set up so you could like beat somebody's best time, but I don't know why they didn't work for us. Eon had their own booth set up with lots of Smash Brothers goodness set up, and it looked pretty good. A lot of chairs, a lot of people here, but it looked a little dead until later on. Surgeman X, of course, was wheeling and dealing with some of the dealers on display here. This guy was awesome. This was Guerrilla Games that we checked out. Definitely recommend checking out their website. You're going to see their card at the end of the video. So you see it here as well. Here is a blast from the past. Booth. Yes. I swear I bought from these guys before on eBay, and it completely slipped my mind until he slipped me the business card at the very end after I made a purchase from them. But lots of great stuff on display here, man. Like, I was looking at some of these games, all boxed, NES, Super Nintendo. It's like, where do you come up with all this inventory? It's absolutely wild to me that some of these boxes still exist. Lots of PS1 titles on display, especially a heavy hitter, Valkyrie Profile, one that I'm looking to get in the future, but I don't know if I'm willing to spend as much as they're asking for. I completely missed that Thousand Arms right there in front of me. It was a game that I'm looking forward to adding to my collection in the near future, but I completely missed it. I was looking for Breath of Fire on the Game Boy Advance. So, couldn't find what I was looking for in this booth, but they had a lot of great games here. A lot of N64 loose cartridges, NES cartridges. There's a copy of Felix the Cat on the NES there, front and center, that I was looking at, but it's not a game that I'm looking to spend around $70 for. Definitely not. I might just settle for a repro at some point in the future, but yeah, a lot of great stuff here in this booth. I didn't really get a good glimpse of it because I was, man, you know, when you have your head on a swivel at these conventions, it's overwhelming, some of the stuff you see. Moving out of the vendors area, I wanted to check out all the consoles that they had set up with all the CRTs. It was absolutely amazing just how many consoles were set up throughout the Cradle of Aviation Museum Center, amidst all the airplanes and space stuff that they had on display that the convention center, well, museum usually has. I got to check out the Sega Master System for the very first time. This is my first time playing it. It was a Penguin game. I forgot the name of the game, but it was pretty good. I'm surprised that the Sega Master System looks as good as it does. The graphics definitely took me by surprise. I guess that's what I get for growing up with a Nintendo console primarily. I mean, the Cradle of Aviation is a very impressive location to have a video game convention, especially with all these arcade games set up amongst the planes. This was awesome. They had a full display of Mother Brain that was moving and making sounds and lighting up. It was insane. I've never seen this before, and it was awesome. Went upstairs to check out the rest of the arcade cabinets set up, and I gotta say, they had such a beautiful mood going on. It was very dark. I mean, it's a little brighter here because my phone adjusted for the darkness, but the darkness really brought up the colors and the lights coming from those arcade cabinets. I really didn't get to check much of them out. I was too busy just kind of enjoying the view. This is definitely a convention that I would like to do 2 days instead of 1 day because there is so much to check out that you can only do so much in a matter of a day, especially one that's like from 3 to 8 p.m. Not enough time in that day to really get a good grasp of the situation and really enjoy everything that the convention had to offer. But I did get to finally try out the Atari Jaguar You got Surgeman X over here playing the Panasonic 3DO. And I, of course, got to check out the Neo Geo CD. Not a console I ever grew up with or planned to collect for, but it was pretty cool to be able to play it. One of the vendors that I bought some games from had a really nice Shadow the Hedgehog controller, brand new. Looks amazing. And then we got to meet up with the Sega Pluto, and of course one of my favorite YouTubers on here, Adam Koralik from Figure It Out Productions, as well as Sunshine, his buddy. Definitely check out Adam Koralik if you haven't. He was great to talk to, finally get to meet in person, as well as his buddy Sunshine that shows up in a lot of his traveling videos on flying and eating. We got to check out the NES exhibit set up by Video Games New York. They do publish indie games physically, so it was nice to get to see all the indie games set up here, and I took particular interest in the one on the Dreamcast, Stormwind. It was a really cool shmup. Since I just gotten into that genre recently, it was really nice to check out. I love all these. They got these Sony PlayStation 3D TVs set up like I wasn't going to notice. I really wanted to walk out of there with one of them, but I couldn't, man. You know, that's stealing. Couldn't steal. But yeah, beautiful little TVs all set up with these beautiful indie games. All the pixel art and all these games looked absolutely amazing. It's so good to see developers, indie developers in particular, make these type of games to this day and on older hardware as well. That's keep the dream alive, people. Just keep making games for older hardware. I'm down with it. Surgeman was playing this game, I forgot the name of it, but yeah, he was having trouble with the controller. I think the controller was bugged, the B button wasn't working, but we went back to the Retro Fools booth and they had some really awesome 3D prints, man. Like all these little characters. That Bulbasaur looked a little sus if you asked me. And then I saw some PS1 games in the booth next door. Oh man, that Thousand Arms looks so tempting, but I know that game was over $100. There was no way I was going to be able to afford it today. That's all I got to film, and that was the end of the convention for us. We had to bounce. It was a long way home from there, but I had a great time. Now it's time to talk about the pickups. So what did I pick up? So first off, this isn't gaming related, but I'm sure you 90s kids are going to feel nostalgic over this. This is the 30th anniversary Street Sharks Ripster. I've collected all of the Street Sharks re-releases that they've made thus far, and this was the one I missed out on when it originally released. I didn't think it was going to sell out, but apparently it did, and I was unfortunate. First booth I saw this behind Streaks, and I flipped. $35. I had to get them. And I'm so happy I did, because now I have the entire group. So really happy to pick this one up. Now let's move on to some of the gaming related stuff. Alright, so I saw this guy and I just couldn't resist. This is an official Super Mario Brothers plush of King Koopa, aka Bowser, back in his original colors from the cartoon. I saw this and at first I was like, you know what? I don't know how I feel about this. Then I thought about it a little more and I'm like, I'm really nostalgic. I used to watch this Super Mario World TV series on mornings before school, and I saw this plush there and I just couldn't resist picking him up, because you don't see Bowser in these colors anymore, unfortunately, and I absolutely adore this look. Yeah, I had to pick this one up no matter what, and it was only $24.99. I also picked up a shiny Dragonair plush for my wife, because I wanted to get her something as well. I was on an RPG pursuit for the Breath of Fire series. I already have part 3 coming in soon, and I wanted to get part 1 and part 2 on the Game Boy Advance. Unfortunately, I could only find the second game, and it was on $35. The seller was kind enough to accept an offer of $30 cash, so now I have Breath of Fire 2 on the Game Boy Advance, and I look forward to checking this one out on the Analog Pocket. Now I know what you're thinking, Caesar, what the hell? Listen, this was only $10. I don't collect Tiger Electronics, but my sister had this one when we were very young, and I saw it there. It felt like fate. I had to pick it up. It still works. There's no batteries in it right now, but I went in there, cleaned the contacts for the buttons, and I am looking forward to getting this to her and reuniting her with the Tiger Electronic that she grew up with. I just had to get it because it just felt like it was the right thing to do. Next up, for only $20, Guerrilla Games, who was very kind and awesome. I looked through some of his ROM hacks, and releases, and he had this copy of Pokemon Green. It comes in this really beautiful green cartridge, and I just look at the label and just look at this. It looks official. Like, seriously, how good this looks. I couldn't believe it. And so I dropped $20 easily to be able to own a version of the original Pokemon Green on the Game Boy. And this thing is absolutely awesome. It's fully translated as well, so I get to experience the original release of Pokemon with the original sprites in this really nice cartridge. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. So I picked up Tenchu Stealth Assassins for the PS1. Remember my brother-in-law bringing this over back when it originally came out, showing it to me, and I was a little creeped out by the game. I don't know, something about the dark aesthetics of the levels and how you could barely see anything too far ahead. It just, I don't know, it just weirded me out. I thought it was kind of creepy. The first vendor booth I went to actually had the manual water damage, and it was really wavy and crispy. You could barely open the pages without like further damaging it. They wanted $25 for it, so I was like, you know what, let me see if I can find it at a different vendor. Lo and behold, I managed to find one at the Blast from a Past vendor, and they were selling it for only $14.99. That's right, 15 bucks, and I got myself one with a really nice manual. So I'm really happy about that and looking forward to finally getting into the original Tenchu. So we met up with Surgeman's friends, and him and his friend were selling games. They had a really small booth, but a lot of heavy hitters on there, and I saw Fear Effect on the PlayStation 1. The other booth had it for $25, but it had no manual, and it didn't look in the best shape. However, this dude had it for $40, and it is minty. I mean, super minty. It even came in a plastic wrap as well, so I can bust that out, take a look at it. I was contemplating whether I get it or not, and I was like, you know what, it's minty, it's fresh, it's only 40 bucks. I never played the Fear Effect games, but I heard a lot of good things about them. Look at that manual, nice and fresh with the registration card in there still. And it's a multi-disc game. The discs are very pretty. I always wanted to check this series out, and when I asked for it originally, he ended up pulling out the wrong game, and he pulled out Fear Effect 2, which I didn't see in the case. And I was like, you know what? This one's going for 50. Oh man, I don't, it was a mistake, of course, but it was a mistake that worked because he ended up selling me on both of them. This one has a little crack here on the top right-hand corner. It's not a big deal. I was always interested in these games because of reasons. The plot looked very interesting to me, and you take a look at the discs, of course, and of course, multiple discs, and all the discs look really nice. So yeah, Fear Effect 1 and Fear Effect 2, once again, a series of PS1 classics that I never really got a chance to play, and I'm really looking forward to checking both of them out. And last but not least, I saw this absolutely gorgeous canvas from Shenmue of Ryo Hazuki and Shenhua, and I absolutely had to get it. It was only $35, and look at how beautiful it is. And it's not like those cheap canvases that when you press against them, it feels like you could just jam your finger right through it. This one is nice and solid, and it is glorious, absolutely beautiful. It's gonna look great amongst my Shenmue shrine. And I even brought it to Adam Koralik. I had to show him that this was available at the vendor's aisle. I picked one up, and the following day he ended up picking one himself, and it was really awesome to turn him on to this because this is a nice piece that's going to look great amongst my Shenmue shrine. So those are all the pickups I did at the Long Island Retro Game Expo. It was a great time overall. I'm happy that I was at least able to go, because not being able to go this year would have been a big bummer. But I'm happy me and Surgeman X were able to work things out and be able to go, because we had a great time. And hopefully next year we could go for 2 days, because it always feels like you can never really see enough in just one day. So anyways, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this look at the Long Island Retro Game Expo with me and Surgeman X, and I wish you all a good game and good night.